A story a week, the mind's masterpiece, a work of art from heart to heart. Tales of wonder, wonder she inspires. Upon her canvas, worlds are built, hearts are healed, hopes restored, dreams revealed, puzzles solved, faiths take flight, good works are born. A story a week. Sit back and relish this week's story. Sight in perspective.
Walking through the world with my eyes open wide. Thought I knew the truth, thought I saw inside. But names like whispers, meanings untold, a story in every voice, a lesson.
Simotti came back from school one day and immediately told his mother that he needed to see an eye doctor. He had noticed for a while that he couldn't see objects clearly from afar. His mother was surprised. Simotti had never had any eye issues since he was a baby. He explains further that in class he struggled to read the board from his usual seat at the back. After complaining, his teacher moved him to the front, but Simotti still felt something was off. Concerned, his mother scheduled an appointment with their general doctor first, who could then refer him to an eye specialist if needed. On the day of the appointment, Simotti took permission from his biology teacher mid-lesson to leave the class on time. His mother had arranged to meet him directly at the hospital. Simotti boarded the bus at the stop near his school, while his mother got on from a stop near the supermarket where she had just finished shopping. Unbeknownst to them, they had hopped onto the same bus. It was only when they reached their stop and got off that they realized they had been sitting just a few seats apart the whole ride. His mother noticed he looked a bit pale. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I'm just hungry," Simotti admitted. "I forgot my lunchbox at home, and the school refectory wasn't open yet when I had to leave." His mother glanced at her watch. They had 15 minutes before the appointment. "Let's get through this first, then we will find you something to eat." They entered the hospital and were directed to the waiting room. As they settled in, the receptionist called out a name, "Naïve." Simotti and his mother exchanged surprised looks. "Did you hear that?" Simotti whispered, suppressing a chuckle. "Someone's called Naïve." A woman across the room stood up, holding the hand of a little girl, and walked into the doctor's office. Simotti and his mother couldn't help but glance at them as if trying to decipher whether the name somehow matched their personalities. A few minutes later, another name was called, "Loli." Simotti let out an uncontrollable laugh. His mother, trying hard to maintain her composure, nudged him lightly, but his laughter was contagious. A man, accompanied by a young boy, stood up and walked toward the consultation room. "Maybe the boy really loves lolis," Simotti whispered to his mother. She smirked. "Then what would you say about little Miss Naïve? Maybe she's naive." Just then, the door opened again. "Simotti," the doctor called. Simotti and his mother entered. "Hey, Simotti, what brings you here today?" The doctor greeted him warmly, hands casually in his pockets. Simotti hesitated, then glanced at his mother, who nodded for him to speak. "I can't see objects clearly from afar, especially in class." The doctor raised his eyebrows. Oh, I am not an eye doctor," he said, shrugging playfully. "But let's check a few things first. How old are you?" 14. "Besides your vision, do you have any other health concerns?" "No, everything else is fine." Turning to Simotti's mother, the doctor said, "You'll need to make an appointment with an optometrist." "I did," she explained, "but they required a general doctor's referral, which is why we booked to see you." The doctor nodded and instructed his secretary to prepare the necessary document. As he waited, he smiled at Simotti. You know, you are quite tall, just like my son Jam. Simotti's lips twitched. He stifled a laugh, but failed miserably, quickly covering his mouth with his hand. The doctor raised an eyebrow. What's funny? Simotti hesitated, then glanced at his mother before sheepishly admitting, I was just caught off guard by the name Jam. The doctor chuckled. Ah, you're probably wondering what kind of jam, huh? Apricot or strawberry? Simotti's eyes widened. He hadn't expected the doctor to joke back. For a moment, he thought the doctor might be upset, but instead the man was enjoying the moment. Simotti's mother chimed in. He's just been surprised by the names he's heard today. First, Naïve, then Loli, and now Jam. The doctor laughed. Oh, my son gets that reaction a lot. People always ask him if he's named after a fruit spread. But actually, Jam is an acronym. His initials stand for Joel Adam Messer. He likes it because, according to him, he's a sweet soul and he wants his name Jam to reflect that. Simotti nodded, suddenly feeling a bit foolish for assuming otherwise. The secretary handed him the referral document and the doctor gave a final piece of advice. Make sure your teacher keeps you seated close to the board until you get your eyes checked. He already did, Simotti replied. Good. Well then, have a great day.
Thought I knew the truth, thought I saw inside. But names like whispers, meanings untold. A story in every voice, a lesson in every soul.
As Simotti and his mother walked out of the hospital, she turned to him with a thoughtful expression. Not everything blurry needs glasses, Simotti. Sometimes we need to look closer and think deeper. Simotti pondered her words, replaying the moment when Naïve was called, how swiftly he and his mother had exchanged glances, assuming the name reflected the little girl's personality. It struck him that in a diverse, cosmopolitan world like his, people often judge others through the lens of their own cultural presets. Just as Jam made sense within the doctor's family context, could Naïve hold a meaning entirely different from its English connotation? And then there was Loli. He had instinctively associated it with candy, just as he had with Jam. But the doctor's explanation had shifted his perspective. Maybe names carry deeper significance. Maybe it wasn't just his blurred vision that needed correction, but his understanding as well. How often did people, himself included, jump to conclusions based on first impressions? How easy it was to laugh at a name before knowing its meaning? How easy it was to assume he needed glasses without considering another explanation? Sight was more than just the eyes. It was about seeing beyond this surface, and today he had learned that lesson in the most unexpected way. Just then, his stomach rumbled, pulling him out of his thoughts. Mom, can you get me something to eat? She smiled knowingly. Yes, please, come, let me get you a doner. Simotti's face lit up. As they approached the kiosk, he found himself wondering what was the story behind the name doner. They stopped at a nearby kiosk, and as he took his first bite, he realized something. Sometimes what you expect isn't always what you get, and sometimes looking a little closer makes all the difference.